We all have friends that found themselves in various predicaments throughout our life. And you can look at somebody, and even if you take issue with their choices and what they've done, you can still sit up there and look at them and say they're a friend.
So word on the street is that Shannon Sharpe has completely cut off Stephen A. Smith, like for real. No more calls, no more texts, no more buddy-buddy act on TV or behind the scenes. And it all blew up after Stephen A. kept running his mouth about Shannon's legal mess, even though nobody asked him to speak on it. Here's how it went down. When the lawsuit against Shannon first popped off, Stephen A. started sending slick little shots on air.
Stephen A., he didn't stand with Shannon Sharpe like he stood with Jay-Z. When he heard about Jay-Z, he said, the guy I know, this is not true. When it came to Shannon, he was like, I wasn't there.
He didn't say Shannon's name directly, but everybody knew who he was talking about. He was dropping hints left and right, talking like Shannon's time at ESPN was already done before anyone at the network even made a statement. And fans noticed. People started calling Stephen out, asking why he was speaking like Shannon's career was already in the grave. Then, boom, just a few days later, Stephen A. starts switching it up, now saying he believes Shannon is innocent. Huh?
Date your age, date your age. Well, I want to date my wage. I'm finna shut all this ish down tonight.
That quick 180 got folks heated, and fans aren't buying it for a second. And guess what? Shannon ain't buying it either. Word is, he's been ignoring Stephen's calls and texts like they never even knew each other. Even celebs are jumping in now. Mace, for one, straight up called Stephen A. snake and a flip-flopper for changing his tune now that the pressure's on. This ain't just a small rift. It looks like the whole Shannon and Stephen A. era at ESPN might be officially done.
You don't want to walk around thinking you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You could your own operation. You don't have to answer to anybody. That's not true. I've had people open their mouth and they've said, Stephen A., you work for ESPN. What kind of control do you really have? This is my podcast. This is my YouTube show. I own this. But if you think for 1 second that I can just do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and there's not going to be any repercussions, you're clueless. And you're destined to fail and fall on your face. Some people sit up there and they look at me and they say, Stephen A. don't get himself in this kind of trouble. How does he pull it off? Well, first of all, there's certain behaviors and proclivities that you never have to worry about me engaging in. But most importantly than that, I often say this about Walt Disney. I'd rather work for a place with standards than one looking for them.
So what really made Stephen turn on his longtime co-host? Was it pressure from the network? Was he trying to save his own image? Either way, Shannon feels deeply betrayed. And it's not just about TV drama. This is real-life fallout. And about that lawsuit, Shannon's being sued by a woman he was briefly linked to, an OnlyFans model he met when she was 19. The details are still unfolding, but it's clear the case has shaken things up big time. Stephen A. is out here pretending to support Shannon now, but don't let the act fool you. Just a week ago, he was the first one throwing shade. He even hinted that Disney and ESPN were gearing up to cut ties with Shannon before they said a single word officially. And that right there, that was the last straw for Shannon, according to insiders close to him. Allegedly, Shannon's been feeling like Stephen A. was jealous for a while now. Ever since Shannon's Club Shay Shay podcast started blowing up, and especially after that wild Cat Williams interview went viral, Stephen's vibe reportedly shifted. Shannon's star was rising fast outside of ESPN, and Stephen A. didn't seem too happy about it.
In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Busby is and how emphatic his client is proclaiming that she is right and she's telling the truth. I have no idea what direction ESPN and Walt Disney will go in. when it comes to this matter. All I do know is it won't be me making a decision. It'll be others upstairs. In the end, all of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, and we own our own business, and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses. That's the situation, unfortunately, that Shannon Sharpe finds himself in.
Now that Steven's trying to backpedal and act like he's been Team Shannon all along, Shannon ain't buying it, not one bit. Word is Shannon's not picking up any of Steven's calls. People in his circle are saying he's done, for good. No more fake friendship, no more on-air laughs. That bond is broken. Now, just for context, when Shannon's lawsuit drama first made headlines, Stephen A. jumped on his show and said he felt bad for Shannon. But the way he said it, it sounded like he was already writing Shannon's career obituary. It came off cold, like he was distancing himself fast. And Stephen A. didn't stop there. After it was announced that Shannon was stepping away from ESPN, Stephen kept talking about how Disney doesn't play when it comes to their brand. He basically said once they see you as a liability, it's game over. But the worst part, Stephen used it as a moment to flex on Shannon.
It's a sad situation. Shannon Sharpe is somebody I work with a couple of days a week. Shannon Sharpe is somebody that I brought to ESPN. To be clear, even though this podcast, this YouTube show is owned and operated by me solely, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be dismissive of ESPN, who employs me in my daytime job on First Take. So I sit here before you today letting you know that they are aware that this is a subject that I was going to broach, because I owe them that courtesy. I am the executive producer of First Take on ESPN.
He threw in some slick comments about how he knows better, how he wouldn't get caught slipping, and how he's too smart to end up in that kind of mess. It came off more like bragging than concern. One minute he's talking down, the next he's acting like a loyal friend. Which one is it, Stephen? Now this is where things get real messy. After fans, and even celebs like Mace, started calling out Stephen A. for being fake and tossing Shannon under the bus, Stephen suddenly switched up. Out of nowhere, he started defending Shannon and claiming he believes he's innocent. But people aren't forgetting how quick he was to stay silent, or worse, shady, when it really counted. And let's talk about that double standard. When Jay-Z got hit with serious accusations from one of Diddy's accusers, Stephen A. jumped in fast, defending Jay like he was his personal lawyer. But when it came to Shannon, Stephen A. didn't show half that energy. He kept it cold, like he was trying to stay safe instead of standing by someone he called a friend. That silence didn't go unnoticed, and fans felt it. Hard. Even Mace called him out. On his podcast, he straight up said it was wild how Shannon didn't know every single detail about Jay-Z's case either, but he still rushed to defend him.
You ain't gonna see me excoriating him. You ain't gonna see me disrespecting him. You're not gonna see me stripping him of my support. I can tell you what I think you right and you wrong.
Meanwhile, Stephen A. left Shannon out to dry. That kind of selective loyalty raised a lot of eyebrows. But here's the twist. After Mace's video went viral, suddenly Stephen A. was back on the mic, switching gears again. He pulled up on Big Boy's show, and now he's out here defending Shannon like he's been in his corner the whole time. He even said Shannon might be getting set up and claimed folks have been jealous of Shannon ever since that Cat Williams interview made his podcast explode. But fans ain't buying the speech. Nobody's trying to hear a loyalty lecture from the main guy who's been flipping sides this whole time. Stephen A. looks like the biggest flip-flopper in this whole situation. Now folks are calling him out left and right, saying the only reason he's suddenly showing support is because Mace dragged him publicly. Let's not forget, Stephen was the very first to drop a video about Shannon's situation, before Shannon even announced he was stepping away from ESPN.
really was the interview with Stephen A. when he was speaking of it. And I was watching it very carefully, Killer.
Stephen A. said something about this already?
Yeah, because Stephen A., he didn't stand with Shannon Sharpe like he stood with Jay-Z. When he heard about Jay-Z, he said, the guy I know, this is not true. When it came to Shannon, he was like, I wasn't there.
Yo,
in a nutshell, yeah.
I gotta keep it static, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't there for Jay-Z neither. You wasn't there for Jay-Z. You were not there for Jay-Z, but you went out on a limb because of the character of guy you know. So I'm not saying that you're wrong for that. I'm saying I would have thought that the same standard would be there, right? If for a guy you work with.
That's not support. That's looking out for yourself. One fan even said, Steven's halfway in, halfway out. His loyalty to Shannon is wild. It's borderline diabolical. And honestly, that sums it up. He went all in for Jay-Z without hesitation. But with Shannon, it's like he's playing both sides. Now he's trying to act like that first shady video was some ride or die moment. Now people remember exactly how he moved. Nah. Everybody sees the switch up, and they're not letting it slide. One fan even said, I said the same thing. The way he talked about Jay-Z was bold and loyal. But with Shannon, it's like he already knew ESPN was about to fire him. That kind of energy shift didn't go unnoticed. And let's be real. Another reason people aren't feeling Stephen A's sudden outrage is because Shannon doesn't even need defending in a lot of folks' eyes.
This 3-time Super Bowl champion and this Hall of Famer, who emphatically stated to me over the phone how innocent he is of these allegations that have been levied against him, insisting repeatedly that anything you read, anything you see, anything you hear was fully and totally consensual. In the same breath, what's inescapable is that without us knowing all the merits, he was working with Disney, where I've worked since 2003, excluding my departure from 2009 to 2011, when I was gone for those 2 years. Outside of that, I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN, who's under the umbrella of Disney.
Even if parts of the lawsuit end up not holding up, one fact remains. He's a 54-year-old man who chose to mess with a 19-year-old. That alone had people questioning his judgment. On top of that, rumors about some questionable role-play situations have only made things messier. To a lot of people, Shannon's not exactly looking like the victim here. And just when things were starting to cool off, boom, more women have come forward. It's starting to feel like this might not have been a one-time thing. According to the U.S. Sun, Shannon's ex, Michelle Evans, filed a separate lawsuit that's now bringing even more heat. Her lawsuit, filed in late 2023, makes some very serious accusations about something that allegedly happened back in 2010. Evans says she and Shannon were together for almost 10 years, but things took a dark turn after she confronted him about cheating.
The whole thing with Shannon Sharpe is actually crazy because how are you even entertaining the conversation after put a big black baby in me? Put a big black baby in me? It's honestly giving that you just have like some sort of racist fetish. Like, you know how when people get with different races and they just play, you know, slave and owner. That's what it's giving when I was reading those text messages. Because what you mean 25,000 a cheat?
What happened next, according to Evans, was deeply disturbing. She claims Shannon got aggressive, told her he would ruin her if she ever spoke out, and then forced her into acts against her will. The lawsuit details how she was overwhelmed with fear and confusion during the encounter, feeling like fighting back would only make things worse. It didn't stop there. She says things escalated, fast. According to her, Shannon pushed her onto the bed and forced himself on her while allegedly saying chilling things like he wanted to make sure no other man would want her after that.
I recruited Shannon. I went and got him and brought him to ESPN. But I'm not the boss. Those are other folks. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on. I can tell you, I also spoke. As co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely.
Those are heavy allegations, and now the spotlight is burning even brighter. This isn't just a headline anymore, it's turning into a whole storm. And while Stephen A. is out here trying to clean up his image, folks are asking, is this even about loyalty anymore? Or just saving face when the truth starts spilling out? Michelle Evans didn't stop with just one claim. She says that after the alleged incident, Shannon threatened her to stay silent. According to her, he warned her that he'd use everyone he knew to destroy her life if she ever spoke out.
And it wasn't difficult for me to figure out what was transpiring. They didn't need any definitive evidence at this particular moment in time about all of that stuff. Once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there, it was uncomfortable to listen to. And it was not something that Walt Disney once associated with its brand. So to have him on the airwaves while all of that stuff was put out there was not something that Disney was going to take. That is what I mean when I say I'm not surprised.
That's when she decided to take legal action and filed a restraining order, back when Shannon was still working at CBS Sports. In that restraining order, Evans claimed Shannon wouldn't leave her alone, allegedly calling her constantly, making threats, and even saying stuff like, "I'm watching you." She said he was putting her under surveillance and made her fear for her safety every single day. When the restraining order and those serious accusations hit the news in 2010, Shannon suddenly announced he was stepping away from his CBS gig. But here's the twist. It all got swept under the rug. The media didn't press it, and somehow Shannon's career kept pushing forward like nothing happened.
Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs, a 13-year-old girl more than 20 years ago, after an award show after party. I am not going to sit here and dismiss or excoriate Mr. Busby or his client, who's anonymous at this particular moment in time, and the allegations that she has leveled against Jay-Z. I'm telling you, I've known this man for 25 years. And I'm saying, for me, Stephen A. Smith, there is no way in hell I believe this about him. Anybody that's been around Jay-Z and knows him has seen him come to the defense of the most helpless amongst us, which are the children. I can't believe for 1 second that he would ever be associated with an allegation like this. And I felt it was important to bring that up because you got people out there. Stephen A., you have something to say about Diddy. Why aren't you going to have something to say about Jay-Z? Well, I don't know Diddy.
Fast forward to now, Michelle Evans is back, and she's suing Shannon for defamation. She claims he brought up their legal drama publicly and used his platform to talk about it, which she says caused her deep emotional distress and seriously damaged her reputation. And she's not staying quiet this time. Evans has even come out in support of Gabriella Zinga, the OnlyFans model who filed the recent lawsuit against Shannon. Evans says Shannon revealing Gabriella's identity, including her full name and her OnlyFans page, was a calculated move to destroy her credibility.
And once you reached a certain stature, it's like the old folks always used to tell you, boy, don't let that money go to your head, right? And now, a lot of times people just are who they are. And you're looking at Shannon, his brand has never really been anything that said he might not be into some of the things that we're learning, right? You could go back to the IG Live, or you could listen to some of the things that he promotes as sponsors of his show, or just certain ways he talks about women during nightcap or whatever it is, right? Like, Unc ain't never hid that.
She told the U.S. Sun, "I want people to understand what Shannon did to this woman. By doxing her, by putting out her name, by putting out her OnlyFans account."
What the two teams that call me, Ocho, say, what's your phone number, where you gonna be?
Who that?
Shut the up.
That was horrifying. Things are going to happen to her because of that. Because of all this, fans aren't exactly rallying behind Shannon. They're saying the new allegations line up with a disturbing pattern. People are looking at his past and connecting dots, saying this isn't new behavior. It's just finally catching up to him.
Sounds like a setup. But if you sit back and look at the overall situation, you say this ain't no setup. This is a who been in the league and been amongst elite blacks and white people for most of his life. He live in a white community. He been around white people for over 30 years. Boy got a thing for white. He like young white. He really want a 17-year-old, but he can't. He 18-year-old or 20-year-old. So here it is, he at the gym working out. He's showing up at the gym with them big old black legs, that big old print showing in them sweatpants, squatting, sweating out his ass with them big old muscles. Now here it is, this little white girl over there on the treadmill. They making eye contact. Who set that up? Who put her there? Who put him there? And who knew they was gonna be attracted to each other to start? Who set that up?
Even figures in the sports world are starting to distance themselves. Former NFL player and ESPN analyst Ryan Clark didn't hold back. He said the behavior Shannon's accused of actually fits the image he's been putting out over the years. That's a bold statement from someone inside the industry. Meanwhile, Charleston White jumped in too, saying folks need to stop acting like Shannon was set up. In his words, Shannon set himself up by messing with a woman young enough to be his granddaughter.
Now, if you watch his interview and you sit back and listen to him and Ocho Cinco talk, and he talk about what he do and what he don't do, well, you see he a weenie with the women. He really mean to women. You sit back, man, I don't do this, I don't do, nah, man, you mean to women. You ain't no Matt. You don't even know how to sweet talk women. So you see he really a weenie to women. He just got a big old black with the big old muscle. But he's not a charming man. You see, man, he mean, authoritative, and he regimented. No, he's not appealing. So the white girl just playing off the big black. He ain't handsome. He ain't the handsomest big black in the world, and he look like a gorilla. Big black gorilla, silverback. And he mean. So she figures she getting this big black, but in the process of getting this big old black, he mean.
That hit hard. And with more info surfacing every day, people are saying Shannon's past behavior is starting to match the serious accusations being made now. This situation isn't slowing down. It's only getting louder. One clip that's been blowing up online shows Shannon losing it during a live taping of his podcast. The moment went down in the April 30th episode of Nightcap with co-host Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson and guest Joe Johnson. They were chopping it up about the 2025 NFL draft when Shannon suddenly snapped, looked off camera and yelled, "Shut the F up."
I'm gonna choke you when I see you tomorrow. Man, just that's all. Yeah, this is baby. You try to. So she don't want to be treated like a grown woman. She just wants this big old black and let her be irresponsible. He trying to make her responsible and all that other. So now ain't nobody set that up, man.
That moment went viral fast. Now people are pointing to it as more proof that Shannon might be seriously on edge. And it's only adding fuel to the talks about his rumored anger issues and emotional outbursts. With everything that's surfaced since the lawsuit hit, public sympathy for Shannon is slim to none. A lot of folks are saying he made his own choices, and now the consequences are closing in. And as for Stephen A. Smith, he's catching heat too, hard. Fans are calling him a certified flip-flopper. Not only did he distance himself when things first got messy, but now he's keeping the spotlight right on Shannon by talking about him constantly. Some even think Stephen A. is secretly enjoying Shannon's downfall, putting on a fake show of concern while dragging Shannon's name through the mud on national TV. Let's be real. If Stephen A. really cared, he could have just said, "No comment," and kept it moving. Instead, he went on his show and spent half the episode preaching about how Disney and ESPN don't tolerate that kind of behavior. Like, really? Who's that helping? One fan summed it up perfectly. Stephen A. is the kind of dude who tells the boss you were late just to take your job. Straight snake behavior. Another wrote, if Stephen A. truly wanted to help, he'd stop talking. Period. This isn't support, it's sabotage. But what do you think? Is Stephen A just keeping it real? Or is Mace right? Was all that loyalty fake from the start? Does Stephen A have double standards when it comes to his friends? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs the tea. Catch you in the next one.